As expected, Sweaty J isn't going anywhere for now. Arizona Cardinals slamming the door on trade speculation surrounding Josh Sweat. And how bad could it actually get for the Cardinals in 2026, Johnny Venerable?
Plus, somebody said that a team could use a first-round pick in the supplemental draft for, check notes, Brendan Sorsby. I'm going to wager, see what I did there? That doesn't happen. PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in. Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. Hello, it's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier, #1 in the world, Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm, of course, Johnny Venerable. That's Bo Brock in Studio K. Noah Man behind the mic. We had a fun little show planned, and then Ian Rapoport said, beep, we're going to do some breaking news here. We're going to talk about Josh Sweat, but first, let's welcome everybody to the show, Bo.
Yes, welcome. I see you, Naheem. How about Bees? Our guy Bees. Yes, Naheem. My boys, Bo and Johnny, we are here. Gus, we are live. No doubt about it. Our guy, Steven Jackson. Shiggles. Love that. Burnt Marble. Got Man Ray. Love to see it. Alex Glover, Jacob Tackett. We've got D Flash. Sag in the chat, Z-Man, Cam, Utah, Cards fan, rock vocalist, AZ, J-Dubs, a deep, strong chat already locked and loaded, ready to go today, Johnny, because we got stuff to talk about. Is the Cardinals up next for this team, mandatory mini-camp, and who now we should expect to be in attendance? One Sweaty J.
Let's just get this out of the way, because some loser on Twitter was coming at me this morning and basically said, oh, but Johnny said he was getting traded. False. I never said that. We were consistent with that take. Let's turn the clocks back to January. Jonathan Gannon got fired on Black Monday. That day, Josh Sweat went to the Cardinals and demanded a trade.
Mm-hmm.
He was upset about Jonathan Gannon being fired. We reported that in March. That did happen. Take it to the bank. I don't care what anybody says. Mac Wilson, Sweat himself, okay? But they've moved past that, okay? They're not trading him right now. And at no point did Bo and I leech on to these slappies on Twitter that are pushing the narrative that aggregated our report in March that Josh Sweat was going to be traded to the Packers or whomever. Did we speculate like, oh, sure, the Cardinals could shop him? Of course. Why on earth would the Cardinals trade Josh Sweat today as opposed to March? Like, if they had the intent to trade him, they would have moved him in March. He would have had a market, right? I think a big portion of like the Myles Garrett saga is just getting like post June 1st. You're seeing that with A.J. Brown. We've talked about it. There was no financial benefit, especially for a team like the Cardinals that had all the cap space of the world, to move Josh Sweat pre-June 1st, post-June 1st. Like, he's going to be on the team to begin the season, and we're just going to play it by ear at this point, but he's not being dealt.
Yeah, it's just a couple of teams that or people that follow or cover teams that are expecting to be relevant and compete for a playoff spot, maybe even more than that in 2026, just kind of really trying to piggyback and pile on the poverty Cardinals. They see a team that doesn't have expectations. They get a team that's at a public holdout of their backup / default QB1 going on with Jacoby Brissett. They said, this is not a team that has any aspirations this season. Hey, let's take a look at what assets they could part ways with.
Right.
And naively said Josh Sweat. Yeah, they saw little rumblings from, Johnny's previous report, even though it was moved on from, and tried to create some own like headlines or reports out of their own that were erroneous. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're just completely erroneous and not based in any kind of fact at all. I mean, the only thing that you can look at throughout this entire saga is, Jordan Schultz's report from last week saying the Cardinals were receiving calls, but that's not an indictment on Monti Ossenfort to think that he would even entertain that, because he doesn't have the ability to entertain it just based on how this pass rush room is set up, that you would take your top sack getter by a wide margin and Josh Sweat with 12, and then you would just trade him away for draft capital and then have to rely on, 5 combined sacks from B.J. Ojulari, Jordan Birch, Baron Browning, and Zaven Collins. That would be reckless, irresponsible, and it wouldn't be the right move. And even Monti Ossenfort, I think, understands that.
Yeah, you would have needed to secure a top 50 pick in this year's draft and then use said pick or some combination of draft capital to get an edge rusher, and probably needed to sign one in free agency. Like, you needed to go after a TJ Parker, a Cassius Howell, right? Or Derek Moore, the kid out of Michigan that went right around like pick 50 to Detroit. Like, you would have had to have like the parameters in place, because it was a pretty good edge class, like back half of the first round into the second. But they didn't do that. They said, we're keeping Josh Sweat. Let's look at the report from Ian Rapoport, who, by the way, once got into a scuffle with Jordan Schultz at the Starbucks in Indianapolis. So there could be some shade here. But this has gained some steam on social media. So let's just provide some clarity. The Cardinals edge rusher Josh Sweat is not being traded, not to the Packers or anywhere. Carry on. And again, this is true today as of June 3rd. If the Cardinals are asked this season and it's the trade deadline and Sweaty J's having another good year, they absolutely should look to move him.
Sure.
That is not like an opinion. That should be factual. Like, if this team's got 1 or 0 wins and they're on a collision course with a top pick and the GM's got a foot out the door, it's just like a 29, soon to be 30-year-old pass rusher, good teammate, people like him, but that was part of the soon to be prior regime. You need to cash out on that. Like, I think that, like, that remains, he is their most tradable piece if the team bottoms out. But on the flip side, and you pointed this out on yesterday's show, trading him now, you're spitting in the face of all the defenders that are trying to rebound off of last year. You're cutting out, Nick Rollis's legs before camp even begins. If you were going to do it, you needed to do it in March, and the team has made their decision. They're going to keep him for now.
Right. You can't have that massive of a white flag waves at this point in the offseason, regardless of how Vegas sees your season playing out.
Right.
You've got to give yourself some semblance of getting after the opposing quarterback. If Josh Sweat exits this organization, you don't have that. You don't have anything that resembles a proven commodity as far as creating pressure. And even like with Josh Sweat and his 12.5 sacks last season, it still struggled to do so. You're going to have some of these guys emerge. They also get into like how much dead cap money would carry over. I mean, as far as the guarantees in his contract, you want to get to the point where those have run out and you can get there post 2026 season. It's just none of it made sense. The only people that could try to make it make sense is the need that the team that they follow or they cover and say, hey, we need a pass rusher. Hey, there's a little smoke over here. But once you look closer and realize that Monti Ossenfort at 15 and 36 doesn't have the luxury of tanking a season before it even begins, I mean, that's just it right there. Like, the casualties would have been massive as far as that, as you mentioned, Monty himself, Nick Rollis, members of this defensive staff, plus who you would have pissed off on this team by not giving yourself the best chance. That just one and done with Josh Sweat after signing him to that big deal, 4 years, over $60 or $76 million. Like, it just doesn't make any damn sense, even if you get a nice shiny draft pick. It's like, hey, it's the whole Family Guy thing. It's like, hey, we could trade away Josh Sweat, like this proven commodity. Maybe like in return, this draft pick, maybe we could get a Josh Sweat with that draft pick.
And it's like, it's Monty's only good free agent signing, like recently. So what's he going to do? Turn around to Michael Bidwill and be like, hey, finally got one right, but we're actually going to move him. And it could that pick could turn into the next Trey Benson. It's just like, okay, guys, no disrespect, but like that's kind of the ballpark for what's happening. Here's where I'm at with this whole thing. The Cardinals need to play with a chip on their shoulder, and they need to play with their hair on fire, us against the world, and that can work to a certain point. But if we get to a point in the season where it's clearly going sideways, 100%, then you start selling off pieces. You see if you could get anything respectfully for Budda Baker, Josh Sweat. But we're not at that point.
Right.
And also, don't do that to Mike LaFluer. Don't do that to Nick Rallis. Right. Don't do that to these coaches. So the only way that it was feasible is if you would have dealt him in March and got players to come in as reinforcements. This is interesting. This was on Twitter today, and I believe it's come from, I want to say, his Instagram. Let's pull this up, Noah, that somebody commented on Josh Sweat 2 weeks ago. Man the F up. It's crazy what people say on the internet to professional athletes. Josh Sweat's one of the biggest dudes you've ever seen, by the way. He's 6'6". Right. Man the F up, Josh Sweat, and show up to OTAs and put in that work to get better. And then Sweat said, the F are you talking about? And he goes, passionate fans who want to see you succeed with the team amid buzz from insiders that you aren't happy Gannon is gone and might want out after 1 year. To which Sweat said, I do my own training every offseason. This is nothing new. Yeah. So this was out there 2 weeks ago. I think this is real. It would take a lot of effort to make this.
Yeah, I just looked up the guy's account. It is private. But I don't know. Would this be in response to maybe is this a Cardinals? No, it couldn't have been a Cardinals post.
I don't
right?
know. Moneymaker.
They wouldn't be posting
no.
Sweaty J's not there, but this is great.
Money's saying it's fake. I need it to be real. If it's not real, I need it to be real.
They're saying it's fake?
Money in the chat says it's fake. But again, people on Twitter said it was real today. So
why would they throw this poor guy under the bus like that?
Show the F up to OTAs, Josh. It's not like Jacoby Brissett, where it's Jacoby won one game last year, is asking for a raise. Get him to hound Jacoby or not. Just
probably is. If he's going after Sweaty J like that, I don't want to see the other things he's saying about Jacoby.
Maybe get him to say, Jacoby, don't show up for work. Can we get him to say that? Josh Sweat has every right to take his time this off. We talked about this, fair or not. He came to Arizona because of Jonathan Gannon. You and I were at the Combine last year, and we talked to Jonathan Gannon privately we asked him, we're like, what about Josh Sweat? He goes, I love Josh Sweat. It's all about the medical with Josh, because there were questions about his knee, right? And they were worried about a degenerative knee, but Gannon told us that guy hasn't missed a practice in 10 years or whatever, however he's been in the league. I'm paraphrasing. Right. They have a special relationship, just like Kazir White had one. And so that guy gets fired and your Sweat, and even though the defense is struggling, unequivocally your best years are with this guy. And now the staff presumably is going to get blown out. And Josh Sweat basically then, has to make a decision this offseason. Okay, well, I thought this team was on the up and up. Gannon's gone. What's my purpose here? Yeah. Right. So I can understand it.
This is 100%. That's 100% legit post. Yeah. Somebody pointed out in the chat. Thank you. It's under his most recent post on his Instagram, which was from last December, but 2 weeks ago, CMFNY came strong in the paint, saying, "Man the F up and show up to OTAs and put in the work to get better." even though Michael LaFleur's hey, he's got his own process.
He is working.
He led the team in sacks. But we had our guy go after him there, and Sweaty J responded to him. So it's this is just such a non-issue now. And it wasn't very much of one, even when Jordan Schultz put that out there. It was just they can't stand to trade Josh Sweat. If they're receiving calls, can't entertain it. And Josh Sweat, was it a ploy from his camp to try a Hail Mary to get him on a team with higher expectations and aspirations in 2026? Very possible. But as far as Is it going to be something that is going to linger and it's going to turn into this standoff between their top sack getter and the organization? I think that it's now done after Ian Rapoport slammed that door today.
Let me ask you a question. Tuesday, November 17th, 4 p.m. Eastern time. It's the NFL trade deadline for 2026. That next Wednesday, November 18th, is Josh Sweat on this team?
Yeah, I think so. Even though, like, look, teams are always looking for pass rush help.
Especially at the deadline.
And they usually always live up and meet the asking price. Like, you could say, hey, that's too high. Like,
right.
I heard some laugh out loud funny, like, Packers trade package.
Give me the worst one.
The worst one was like they thought based on the length remaining on the contract that they could get a fifth.
He's cost controlled and it's like the perfect deal. He's got 2 years left.
Right. There was another one I think I saw where it was like not just Sweaty J, but Marv and like the just a bunch of ham sandwiches from like Green Bay's like, here are the guys that haven't lived up to expectations. And we're just going to like Luke Van Ness and a couple other scrubby scrubs and like a third and a fifth.
I don't mind Van Ness, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for me, it's like, I think it's a coin flip just based on how the season goes.
But wouldn't you just say, as far as all of this, it's the truer indictment on the organization is the view that they are a yard sale and that people are going to say, hey, here's something of value. Why don't you just give it up because you're not really playing for anything? Give it to the teams that are really playing for something in 2026. That's the true indictment of this entire ordeal. Not that there was any legitimacy to these trade rumors that were swirling around Josh Sweat.
Doesn't it feel like this is the first time that this organization has had to deal with those kind of rumors? I think back to remember where Fitz had all those ties to New England and people thought that he didn't have ties, but like Patriot fans thought he was going to go to New England. I'm sure Belichick.
There's the Hertz airport rent-a-car meme. That's still
the only other one I can think of. But fair or not to Michael Bidwill, it was like
Buddha. There was Buddha. People were highly coveting Buddha, especially during his trade request.
I mean, the Cardinals got offered a first-round pick for Patrick Peterson and Jalen Reagor at the deadline and turned it down, which was, in hindsight, the wrong decision by Steve Keim. But I think the difference is now is those Fitz teams that were bad, like pre-Bruce Arians, were never worst in the league bad. It was really more around their quarterback play was bad. So people are like, you can't utilize Fitz. But they had an 8-win season, a 5-win season. This is coming out now because of what you just said. People look at the Cardinals as the worst. They're not the worst roster, but they look at them like the worst team in the NFL. They don't have a quarterback now. And it's just anything of value, give it to us.
Right.
You're going to be our farm system. You don't deserve X, Y, and Z.
Right.
But it's because the Browns are doing that, the Jets are doing that, and the Cardinals are not. And people are like, what the hell are the Cardinals waiting for? And that's kind of been our argument this offseason. If you were going to try to win, then try to win. If you're trying to blow it up, well, then you need to fire Monti and then say, we're going to get a quarterback in 2027. We're going to start selling people off. They didn't do that either. They're in this kind of nightmare limbo world where we're going to talk about it after the break. They have the hardest schedule in the NFL, according to Football Power Index, and they're not projected to win a single game. And it's so that people rightfully so, I don't blame Packer fans or anybody else because of how, when you're negotiating publicly with a backup quarterback like Jacoby Brissett, people are going to think that you are not very smart.
Right.
Or well run.
Right. No, yeah, both of those things, definitely. It's as far as the Jets and the Browns and the team that the Cardinals continuously keep company with, the NFL world has backed off because they're fully telegraphed what their direction is. where the Arizona Cardinals, as you mentioned, like football purgatory, they're in limbo. They're trying to make this tightrope walk. Mm-hmm. No safety net after going into year 4 for Monti Ossenfort. Like he falls, he's cooked, right? Yeah. If this doesn't work, and it feels like the rope itself is starting to kind of like fall apart. Like it's a complete mess, and everybody's just like, well, like as far as this goes, and what we view is the team that is going to sell and should sell is the Arizona Cardinals, and if they're kidding themselves otherwise. And that's really the biggest disservice, I think, to your fan base, and the fact that it is continued from, going into the offseason and trying to energize this fan base with a coaching pivot, and then going, a franchise quarterback pivot, that you haven't been able to create any type of hope that the fan base can latch onto to kind of keep these leeches from trying to get all your good players from your grasp.
It's only going to continue too. Yeah. And they have nobody to blame but themselves. Z-Man puts it really well in the chat. It's like trying to thread the weirdest of needles. I mean, it is. It's like Monty, they fired Gannon, and Monty then had to basically turn around and say like, well, this is all salvageable. But then his moves don't reflect that. They're moves that reflect a GM that has immense amount of security. Yet the record is what it is. I mean, we've talked about it, Z-Man. Like, I mean, even like a 4 or 5 win season, like what that would do to Monty's win-loss record. I mean, it's just unthinkably bad.
Yeah, it's unfathomable. And, many people, and I respect this because I don't think that they're incorrect.
Yeah.
Saying just embrace it. You're delaying the inevitable as far as why not sell off the pieces? But the Cardinals just simply cannot. Monti Ossenfort, like the people calling the shots, the people that were able to remain in their positions, like they have to operate under the idea that they are trying to win football games in 2026, like it or not. Because if they operated any differently, they should have been fired, right? Like you couldn't have said like, hey, we're going to fire the coach, but you're going to get you're going to give it an even longer leash to see this rebuild through, which no fan base exactly would have an appetite for it. 15-36 through
15-36, and they go 5-12 with Monty this year. That's 20-48. That is so bad.
Yeah,
that is unthinkably bad. And you're not listen, and he's not claiming to be this, but like they certainly did their water carrying through the media last year. No excuses. Nobody feels bad for you. Can't put it on injuries. Can't put it on anything. This is your baby.
Right.
I mean, like Steve Keim's having a renaissance of sorts because people have so much apathy to the current product now. Josh Sweat, if he was going to get traded, would have been in March, and they would have pivoted to Arvel Reese or whomever. They didn't do that. He'll show up, I would imagine, next week. Let's talk more around the corner. Football Power Index has the Cardinals as a projected top 5 team in the 2027 NFL Draft. Are they number 1? Are they set for the first overall pick? That's coming up. Hit the like. You know what hit the spot right now? A nice, cool Casamigos Marg, and the World Cup is here to serve you and your friends with ready-to-go Casamigos margaritas. Bring your friends, families, hell, even your frenemies together for one Casamigo Marg at a time. No matter who you're supporting, say cheers with Casamigos Margarita and pair it with your watch party with delicious food. And it's the best because it's got the best simple ingredients like Blanco, tequila, lime juice, and other natural flavors. They're sure to rival any of your favorite hangout spots. Uncork, pour over ice, and garnish with lime. Here's the best part. 110 calories per serving. Hello. Got to watch those calories. And this is where you're at. 2 flavors, classic lime or spicy. I'm a spicy boy. I like spicy. Be on the lookout for the U.S. men's national team and Mexico watch parties this summer. We're going to have samples, prizes. Everybody in attendance is going to get hooked up. Check them out right now. Here's some dates I'm going to throw at you. It's kicking off, right? We've been promoting it for a minute. Well, here it comes. U.S. men's, June 12th, 6 p.m. kickoff. June 19th, noon kickoff. June 25th, 7 p.m. Phillies Scottsdale, Phillies on Priest, Phillies on Warner. Unbelievable. Casamigos, the drink of the World Cup. Whether you're at your favorite spot or stocking up at home, make it Casamigos.
I love that. I also love when I'm just scrolling social media and I see my friends Mark and Alexis Bry, the husband and wife law team, show up. Always an entertaining watch. They discovered a White Castle vending machine. They went viral for that. Just a great follow. They add some levity in some serious situations. If you've suffered an injury, been in an accident, who you hire as your lawyer, it's so important. Do your research. You're going to land back on Mark and Alexis Bry, the husband and wife law team. Like I mentioned, that levity is so important. But when it comes down to the results in your specific case, they're locked in. They're very serious. And the big difference between them and the rest of the lawyers in Arizona, they've certified specialists in personal injury and wrongful death, hundreds of combined trial experience. But as far as the specialization, only 1%, less than 1% of lawyers in Arizona can say that. They're real trial lawyers too. If your case needs to go to court, they're ready to go. And they promise you're going to receive at least as much in your pocket as they do in fees, even if it means they got to lower their fee to make it happen. You got to love that. If you've had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team today, 602-783-8841. Check out the link in the show notes, husbandandwifelawteam.com. Tell them Bo and Johnny from PHNX Cardinals sent you.
So there's strength of schedule, there's, football power index, ESPN. They put out this article every year basically saying, like, we have the data, we have the analytics. This is the toughest goal. This is the easiest. And the Cardinals are typically in the top 10 in terms of hardest schedule every year. Well, this year they've won. They finally won something. They are number 1 in the football power index, top 10 hardest schedule in the NFL. Noah's precious Lions are on the flip side, one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. This is the FPI rankings based on ESPN analytics, that even though the Cardinals have the hardest schedule in the NFL, they are still somewhere in between the 3rd or the 4th worst team in the NFL. The Football Power Index believes the Miami Dolphins will actually be the NFL's worst team, followed by the Jets, Browns at a coin flip, and then the Cardinals at 29. But here's where it gets interesting. Flip to the opposite end. Let's go bring up this next graphic. This is the percentage chance. We watch this a lot, especially late in the year, for a top pick. The Cardinals have the second best odds, Bo, to land a top 5 pick, okay? But they have the third best odds to land the number 1 overall pick behind the Dolphins and the Jets. The Browns are right behind them at roughly 13%, and the Raiders at 11%. Now, what does all this mean? I think it boils down to what we've talked about before. To garner the first overall pick for the Arizona Cardinals, they would likely have to win 1 or 2 games.
Yeah.
It would have to be one of the worst seasons in the history of the NFL, because their strength of schedule is so difficult that if they go 3-14, and so do 3 or 4 other teams, which is possible, they will be picking 5th in the draft. So that's why I understand people have the hopium for a quarterback next year, and they want a tank, and they want Arch Manning. Like, they're getting Arch Manning one way. If they have the worst season in franchise history and they win, I'm going to say right now, to get Arch Manning and just the rights to draft him, who knows if he would come here, they got to win 2 games next year. They got to have a 2-15 season to get Arch Manning.
That's a that's a bleak future that I don't want to witness. That's going to be a rough season, and we know what that would mean, right? We know that would be the end of Ossenfort. That would be no doubt about it, the end of Rawless, and it would put Mike LaFluer in harm's way. To win just 2 games, to open up your Cardinals head coaching career which would be a franchise worst, resetting the record just a season later for losses, that would be a tough thing to come back from, regardless of where you stand in the draft order. But I mean, this is something that we've discussed quite a bit throughout this offseason. Like, things are bad. This roster is not given a chance, and a lot of people would have their eyes at that top pick, where I think you would feel like if they show up, if they have the right game plan, if they catch a team on the right Sunday that they're going to be able to come out of there with an unforeseen win. Obviously not favored in any games, but this is a team that isn't completely devoid of talent. Like them, you put them against the rosters now, especially with Myles Garrett out of Cleveland.
Yeah.
I think the Arizona Cardinals roster, it's like, hey, we're not the worst, but it's far from the best, but we're better than some of these teams like the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Browns. And, I think it's going to be, as far as 2026, maybe even more competitive to get to the bottom than it is to get to the top of the NFL.
I agree with you. And I don't think, given where the Cardinals are at and how they've operated this offseason, and this is going to upset people, I think if there are games to win this year, they are going to try to win them. Mm-hmm. Whereas you saw the Jets and the Raiders last year actively, they threw games in November and December last year.
Yeah.
Who's the guy playing quarterback for the Jets at the end of last year? I can't. Is he even going to be in the league this year? They were trying to actively get the first overall pick. The Cardinals picked third. They were one more win away from being outside the top 5 and 2 more wins away from being outside the top 7. Now, here's where I'm going to push back on the strength of schedule piece. That changes the minute the season starts, and that ebbs and flows every week. And while the schedule is daunting, let's pull it up real fast. Some of these teams are going to regress. Some of these teams are not everybody can be great.
Mm-hmm.
Like the NFC West is due for that. The division, the strength of schedule is based on three of the best teams in the league record-wise played in this division last year. I think you and I both think that the Seahawks, just from a win-loss standpoint, could take a step back. San Francisco as well. We'll see what happens with the Rams and the upgrades they've made. But there's a potential for a lot of these teams to regress. So it's not always going to come down to strength of schedule preseason. I think the Cardinals, even though I've banged on Ossenfort and I think the Jacoby Brissett thing is a joke, I have stood by this opinion. I'll hammer it home now. Their roster is better than people think. Yeah. They're going to win more games than people think. Is it going to put them in playoff contention? No, of course not. But it's not going to put them in contention for the first overall pick. So I would get comfortable with the idea that you're not going to get some quarterback prospect delivered on a silver platter. If you want to get up, you're going to have to be aggressive in a cutthroat draft where a bunch of teams, not you, are equipped with multiple first-round picks. They would have to basically lay down every week to get the first overall pick. Every week they would have to be the worst team in the NFL. Right,
and everybody sets their sights on that, the number 1 pick. It feels like it's the most, foolproof approach. It's going to be the top prospect in this. And 2018 can prove it's not sometimes not the case. The best quarterback in that draft, I think if you go pound for pound, was Josh Allen, right? And he goes 7th overall in that draft. He's the 3rd quarterback off the board behind Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Now, Darnold he won the Super Bowl, and Baker has had a resurgence. And then even down the board, you've got Lamar Jackson, who I think is a close second to maybe Allen as it stands right now, even though Lamar's got some hardware at home. But just think about how we perceive Carson Beck at 65th overall, and you can find some sort of hope in Carson Beck and his skill set and his resume, and the idea that you're coupling him with Mike LaFluer, who's supposed to be, this offensive mind. You give him a true first-round caliber quarterback. I don't care if it's not the top guy, and that's going to get people juiced and excited, right? You might not be getting Arch, and maybe Arch is the guy that falls down. We don't know how this is going to play out. What's trending right now about the 27 classes? You should have not 1, not 2, but multiple guys who are going to be viewed as first-round talent. And can the Cardinals, are they going to be in striking distance of those guys? Even if they're if they surprise people and they're outside of the top 5, maybe they're on the outside of the top 10, they've got to aggressively get into the spot to take a quarterback. They have to. I don't care if if the draft isn't their mode or like where they're going to go pick up their quarterback, they have to aggressively seek out their next quarterback next offseason. It's just going to be a way better and more conducive spot than this past one has been.
Yeah, I still contend. Let's see how many of these guys pan out. Obviously, first things first, they have to see what they have with Carson Beck. We both agree with that.
Sure.
From there, it's like, how many of these guys pan out? Are there some Garrett Nussmeyers that we're anointing right now that are going to fall out of favor, right? Like, I probably, let's say conservatively, Bo, there's like 4 to 5 first-round quarterbacks next year. Let's say 5 that people.
I don't think that's conservative. I would say, let's just say 3.
Okay, let's say 3 right now.
Yeah.
I think for the Cardinals to fend off this vulnerability, like, and you're not going to like this, let's say Carson Beck doesn't work out, you have to get a quarterback in free agency first. You have to go and be a big boy franchise, unlike this offseason, and get a Mac Jones or somebody that you can say, oh, this guy's our starter. And then not because everybody knows the Cardinals will, in that scenario, would have a target on their back. And you have to be able to lay in the weeds a little bit. Like, I'm not going to give Steve Keim credit for the execution in terms of the picks, but like, they gave Sam Bradford $20 million and then traded up for Josh Rosen and didn't have to pay a whole lot. You have to mirror that approach. Whereas like this, like go get a Mac Jones and then trade up for a Sam Levitt, whatever. What was the problem this year? Everybody knew you were desperate for a quarterback. And that's why partially the Rams took the quarterback that we tied them to, that everybody else did, 13th overall. Yeah. Because everybody looked at this quarterback room and like, what the hell are the Cardinals doing? This isn't a real quarterback room. And like you have to be able to have a semblance of stability there before leaving yourself vulnerable for the draft, assuming that you don't have a top 5 pick.
Yeah, no, I mean, when in the case of the 2026 Arizona Cardinals, the smoking gun is the quarterback position, and it will continue to be until they start to really kind of find solid and viable solutions. And we'll see if Beck is one of those guys. And I agree, like you got to have a good idea of what he is going into the offseason. But yeah,
I see it with Mike here in the chat too, real quick, Bo, just saying, why couldn't you stick with Beck and draft another quarterback to say, I guess in that scenario, Mike, you're right. Like if they see enough, they could say like, we're really excited about Carson. We're moving into the offseason with him as our starter, and then still take a quarterback. He would have to show a good amount, and then people would be excited. I'm working under the assumption in this scenario that it's clear he's not the guy. I don't want that to happen. That's how I'm operating.
Yeah, I think that's one of many scenarios, no doubt about it. And then you look at like, probably can't do what the Raiders did, but the Raiders had the luxury of the number 1 overall pick. Right. But they kind of drug their feet on finding that veteran presence at quarterback later in the offseason. It's just, I think there's going to be a couple more options and options that people will be accepting to, and placeholders until you submit the ticket for who you deem, your franchise quarterback. I see a couple people talking about the right tackle position. They're going to have a ton of cap space. They better go get the best right tackle in free agency next year.
Mane will be gone in this scenario, and hopefully you get somebody who's got relationships to go out and be like, hey, ex-agent, I'm going to pay you and your client $100 million to come play right tackle, and we're going to be in our new facility next year, and everything's going to be fine. We're trending up. We got a top pick. Like, yeah, there are ways to spin it. But in the meantime, I'm ready to watch Carson Beck. And again, like bringing it kind of home here as it relates to the Football Power Index, the biggest reason that the Cardinals are viewed as a dead franchise walking is a combination of the division they play on and the quarterback they start.
Right.
Like, look at the teams at the bottom here. Clearly, the Football Power Index does not believe in Malik Willis, and I think this is also reasonable, they viewed Miami as just like selling off all their good players, which they did. The Jets have, minimal talent on that roster as it relates to like getting rid of Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner, and they have Geno Smith. The Browns just got rid of Myles Garrett. I mean, like the Cardinals are lumped in with these teams that people believe are either rebuilding, starting from scratch, no quarterback. I don't know. I maybe it's a bias here. Like I think the Cardinals, especially with an offensive coach, have the offensive skill players to give you a chance every Sunday.
Yeah,
I don't know
think
about the defense.
it's a more realistic, I think, view of where they truly stand in the league, and a lot of people want to make them punching bag and throw them all the way to the bottom.
Yeah,
when that's not reality. I mean, they're and especially if Jeremiyah Love hits and these offensive playmakers that found their stride last year, Trey McBride continues to be, the top tight end in the league or in that conversation. And, Marv finds his way, or Michael Wilson continues to kind of ascend. Like, you've got enough playmaking there. You like a lot of the offensive line. Defense is going to be a big part of this, but that gives you kind of a truer barometer of where the Cardinals are than they're going to go 0-17. This is the worst team in the league, and all the hyperbole that they're on the wrong end of here in 2026.
I can't see it. I saw a team last year that could have had the first overall pick. It's hard to do that 2 years in a row. It's hard to be that when you turn over coaches, and they did have a good amount of injuries. I'm not going to.
But isn't it crazy that they disqualified themselves for the first overall pick first 2 weeks of the season?
I know, and you can make an argument from the third week on they were the worst team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hit that like button. We're back around the corner. Could they add to their quarterback room next month? Brandon Sorsby, supplemental draft. We've got a shocking new report coming up. I get to talk about all my favorite partners today. I don't like to play favorites, but I do with our friends at Michelob Ultra. This summer, we're talking soccer, and we're talking ice-cold Michelob Ultra, a proud sponsor of the U.S. men's national soccer team. Is the entire planet's going to be locked on the FIFA World Cup, and here in the Valley and across the country, we're going crazy for Team USA. Speaking of USA, Mick Ultra, it's brewed right here in America, and they say the same grit that the U.S. men's soccer team plays with is brewed here too. Again, it's the best beverage, the best beer to match that moment is Michelob Ultra. Whether you're packed into a bar, watching at home, watching a watch party with us here at PHNX Sports, or just yelling at TV. For every match, every goal, every play on the world's biggest stage, crack open something superior and something that keeps the calories down. Got to watch those carbs after all. Michelob Ultra, the proud sponsor of the U.S. men's national soccer team and the official beer sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 2026. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2026 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri, Bo.
I know ice-cold Michelob Ultra is in my plans this weekend. So is a trip to the Window Depot. Check out their new surprise location. It's open and it's ready to help you fulfill your needs as far as whatever project you might be working on. You're thinking, the Window Depot, isn't it just windows? No, it's way more than that. As far as the Window Depot goes, they can hook you up, doors, cabinets, countertops, everything you need. In fact, they've got this luxury vinyl plank flooring starting at just $1.99 per square foot. Yeah, $199 in stock, ready to take home today, and your flooring is going to be upgraded. Also, check out iron doors starting at just $999. Stylish, and of course, gives you that sense of security. Check them out right now at the Window Depot. Plus, their vanities, great mix of modern design, smart storage, and quality build, all ready to go. Serving Arizona since 2002 and way more than windows. No wait times, no gimmicks. Just the best price and biggest inventory. Shop online, thewindowdepot.com. Pick up in store today.
Brendan Sorsby, I haven't had a chance to talk about your boy formerly from Texas Tech in a minute. I was off last week.
Texas Tech, right?
Right. And I heard some of the things that were reported and how excessive his gambling was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you and I maybe even not downplayed, but underestimated the excessiveness of it. He was a full-blown gambling addict. Like the breakdown of what he would wager and where he would wager and the lengths he would go to gamble would terrify me as an NFL franchise with that addictive personality. That being said, he lost his eligibility and will likely go into the supplemental draft next month, and he will be drafted. And you've been on the record of saying you wouldn't use more than a 5th round pick on him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there as well. I think a 5th round pick would be the earliest. Well, somebody else on Twitter thinks that is an underpay. Tony Pauline, who we've had on this show, who after this, I'm I'm not sure we can have back on. Tony Pauline, multiple sources inside the league tell me if Brendan Sorsby of Texas Tech is unable to regain eligibility, I thought it was a done deal, but whatever, for the 2026 season and is forced to enter the supplemental draft, he will be a late first, early second round pick, depending on the order. Presently, Sorsby is higher graded than Arch Manning by several area scouts as we head toward the season. This was, of course, ratioed into oblivion.
Yeah.
And he is standing by this. He's laughing at people that are doubting him. Here's what I'll say about Tony. He's a little bit like Jacoby Brissett. He walks to the beat of his own drum.
Sure.
Sometimes he's right and he's got good sauce. Sometimes he's not. I feel like if this was true and he had first and second round grades, don't you think, with all due respect to Tony, we'd be hearing more about it?
No doubt about it. And I know Albert Breer started his reporting on this whole scandal, saying that teams, especially, quarterback needy teams, could use a second round supplemental pick that would turn into, the equivalent in next year's draft on Sorsby, who does have first round traits and measurables, but he is not a surefire first round quarterback prospect as it stands today on June 3rd, 2026. So the idea that a team would just burn in what is viewed as a very, very impressive and talent-rich draft on a guy with a lot of red flags. And it's not just the gambling. I mean, we see the gambling. There's allegations, of course, 40 bets made on Indiana football while he was at Indiana. You've got him betting on the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, over $90,000 that he bet during his collegiate career, which is alleged. And then you get into Brendan Sorsby, the football player. Love the arm strength, love the size at 6'3", 230, love the mobility, 1,300 yards. But if you talk to a lot of people who are well-versed in Big 12 football, and that's where he played in Cincinnati last couple of years, he didn't win a game after November. When the calendar struck November 1st, he was winless, and he would go up against a defense or I guess rosters that were, better at the collegiate level, and he would struggle mightily. So, you take into consideration all the variables here, the scandal, the addiction that you hope he's going to help, he's going to overcome, which he got, he went here, Goodyear, Arizona, to help himself with. And then you've got, just Brendan Sorsby, the football player. Can you stand to just light a pick potentially on fire in next year's draft on a guy like Sorsby? I would say I would say 5th is the sweet spot. You go as high as 4, but you can't use anything else beyond that.
I don't think he gets, the problem with him is the perception, and this is not taking a wide out. Jalen Thompson was an excellent pick by the Cardinals in the 5th round.
Yeah.
I can't even remember why he had to go in the supplemental draft. But those are outlier scenarios. That quarterback, has there ever been a supplemental draft pick at quarterback?
Cardinals took one.
Who's that?
Took one, a first round quarterback. Trying to remember the name.
Why am I spacing out on this?
It was in the 80s. Dude, who did we have on the show that made the reference to him last week? Noah.
It wasn't Gary, but it was
the Phoenix Cardinals.
Yeah.
Somebody's saying Tim Rosenbaum?
Yeah.
Rosenbach. Tim Rosenbach. Why was he in the supplemental draft? What did he do?
Oh, shoot. I thought it was Billy Bob Thornton.
He was selected in the 2nd round by the Cardinals in the supplemental draft. I
see it as first round, 2nd overall.
Oh, you're right. 2nd pick. My God.
The 89 supplemental draft.
Yikes. Yes, you're right, Baharo. Terrell Pryor went to the Raiders in the supplemental draft. So that's the most recent comp. But here's the difference with Terrell Pryor. Think about what he got busted for. He was exchanging memorabilia, basically signing a football or a helmet to get free tattoos. which you could do now with your eyes closed, which was a joke. And poor Terrell Pryor got slapped on the hand because college football was even crazier at that time. Sorsby is an addictive gambler, gambled on his own team, and doesn't have the tape. I mean, Terrell Pryor was a highly touted college quarterback. Like, a lot of people thought could have been a first-round quarterback. Sorsby, like, how many of us have watched Sorsby play consistently? I have not. And here's I'm trying to make my point. I'm not doing a good job of it. The biggest concern is it's not a wideout. It's not a corner. It's not a running back. When you take a quarterback and you put your stamp of approval on a quarterback, especially high, like, for instance, if somebody were to use a first or second round pick, you're saying that at some point, Brandon Sorsby, a gambling addict, recovering gambling addict, is going to lead our franchise, which is insane. No one can say that. No one is doing that. I'm sorry, Tony Pauline. Say it out loud. Somebody with an image problem like that, like, the only person that could do that with the gravitas and the clout is like a Howie Roseman. But, like, is he taking him in the second round? Why? You don't need to take him in the second round. I think the highest would probably be third or fourth, but even so, I don't know. I think there's a better chance he doesn't get drafted than he goes
and signs
what top 100 pick. Because you think about it, like, he's going to get punished by the NFL. He's probably won't even be able to play next year.
Right. And I think that would benefit a team like the Cardinals, because then you can give a clearer runway and path for a guy like Carson Beck without, having to divvy up reps.
I think it just muddles it. If you love him, that's one thing, but man,
there are parts of Sorsby that I'll go to bat for. Like, I see the potential. I don't buy into it nearly as much as Pauline, and like, he's talking to area scouts, and like, area scouts don't have the pressures of truly making this investment, so they can throw around stuff like that and say first or second round. But like Brendan Sorsby, he's a guy that LSU was looking at. He's a guy that Texas Tech, who was in the college football playoff last year, can throw some money around. We're willing to give $5 million before this whole thing went down, like, to play quarterback. Like, and he's not a finished product. You get him in the building, and you get the right coaching. Like, there is very good potential based on the measurables and traits that he could develop into something, but there is just so many red flags that, as far as like making a true bona fide investment, that's where you have to say, like, I don't know if you can do that. Like, there's just too many risks. By the way, Rosenbach, looks like it was Dennis Erickson exited Washington State for the Miami job, and it was at that point where he's just like, you know what, instead of coming back, I'm just going to go to the supplemental draft.
No, it's not like that. That's not even like in the same stratosphere. Like, now there's so much. The college football is so loose now. Like, to be a supplemental draft pick, you got to really screw up. You got to really make a blunder or a career-defining mistake.
And to your point about Pryor, and I've said this before, it's like, the NFL does not reward you for effing up at the previous level. They're not going to be like, hey, come on. No, 40 bets on your team, allegedly? Yeah, come on over here. We'll get that sorted out. They don't mess around with gambling in the NFL either.
Quickly, before we take a break, is it an indictment of Carson Beck if they take Sorsby? And is it a coup for Carson Beck and where he's at if they don't take him?
Yeah, let's answer that next. PHNX Cardinals.
Hit that like button for all of you, because it's a thank you, frankly, for all of you being a part of the PHNX community. And again, we're always looking to improve our shows, our content, really to better understand how you listen, how you consume, and really what you value the most. And that's why we've launched a quickie survey, if you will. Your feedback helps us shape the content that you want, that you love, to make it even better. Again, it only takes a few minutes, but it makes a big impact. You guys are the reason we get to do this every day. We're so fortunate, Bo, Noah, myself, everybody here at PHNX Sports. So we ask one more thing of you. You're so giving. Take a moment, head to gophnx.com/contest. That's gophnx.com/contest to let your voice be heard. respondents have a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card, as you all are a gift to us. We want to be here on the long haul, which means we need to know what you want when you want it. We appreciate everybody. Get your gift card today. And a big thank you from Bo and Johnny.
A lot of power in that survey. You want to see Noah fired? You can make it happen. Just log on. Go phnx.com/contest. Also, a lot of power. One AZ Credit Union. Friends of the program, rooted right here in Arizona, invested in you. Listen, let's get right to the important part. They're offering $350 new member bonus for a limited time when you open up a new checking account, complete qualifying activities. That's real money you can start your brand new checking account off with. It's unbelievable. That's pay for game day food and maybe a couple jerseys while you're at it. One AZ has been serving Arizona for 75 years, helping people buy cars, start businesses, and plan for the future. Everything you want from your credit union, but more of a sense of family and community, just like PHNX. That's why we love them so much, and we're giddy about the partnership. They've got 25 branches across this great state, plus online banking app, which is so key. Got to have this day and age, so your money is always easy to access. And if you need help, you can actually just walk into a branch and talk to a real person. How about that? Financial coaching, notarizing documents, whatever you need, they've got you covered. And of course, don't miss out on that $350 new member bonus. Use that code CHK358. That's CHK358. Terms and conditions apply. Visit 1azcu.com for all the details.
If the Cardinals take Brendan Sorsby in any way, shape, or form, it is an indictment on Carson Beck and what they've seen so far. I don't know how you could argue that, whether Jacoby Brissett shows up or not. I don't, if they've seen enough at that point, because we're going to be deep into this offseason training camp. I mean, like, if they like what they see from Carson Beck, like, you're not taking Sorsby.
No, respectfully, I disagree.
Really?
No, because Carson Beck, it's not an indictment after him going through OTAs and mandatory minicamp. You won't have seen him in training camp and really going up against true game speed that he's going to see when they put on the shells and the helmets and people are hitting each other and physicality arrives. They do not have a clear-cut answer at the quarterback position as it stands right now. They've got two journeyman veteran backup quarterbacks atop their depth chart that are under contract just for 2026. They need to start taking some swings at the plate. And I'm not saying, hey, go utilize first, second, third, fourth round supplemental draft pick on them. But if you submit, take a fifth round pick and you take a swing of that kind of low risk just to get a quarterback prospect in your building, it's not an indictment on Beck. It's just a show of we're trying to find, or flooding the position with options going forward.
I feel like if that decision is made, I just think it takes away a lot of the goodwill that you built up this offseason with Beck. And when you take a guy like Beck, 65th overall, I mean, I guess if it's like a 7th round pick and you're just like, oh, I was taking a guy to take a guy. But this is Beck was an investment, whether or not people want to admit it. Like the first pick in the 3rd round, it was the first time the Cardinals had the first pick in any round, right? They didn't in the 1st or 2nd round. And they made a decision to take a guy who's ready to play now. I don't know. I guess there are worse scenarios if you have Beck on the roster next year, Sorsby making no money as a 7th rounder hanging around, and then you've got another option in that offseason to be able to bring some more guys in. I get it. You want to flush it, and you want to be able to see what you have. I don't know if you can see what you have, though, if you have so many mouths to feed. I saw somebody in the chat put it well. It's like, I mean, there are only so many reps to go around. But in 2027, Jacoby Brissett, who's holding out right now for an extension or more money, will not be here, and Gardner Minshew may not be here as well. So
you got to do it. I mean, everything that Beck isn't, kind of Sorsby is, right? He's got the mobility, he's got the strong arm, he's got the traits that people fall in love with, where Beck's got the resume. Why not have one of each and just let him fight it out? Like Carson Beck, 65th overall. I don't disagree with you. That is an investment, right? In the marketplace, I think there was value in that investment.
Yeah.
But I think that there's value in investment of what would be potentially getting a guy that could be a day 2, day 1 guy for a day 3 price. That's just smart business, NFL business.
That's fair. I mean, man, it would have to be the latest of picks for me to be on board with it. Because again, if things go awry and you have used a decent pick on it, like think about the Cardinals, like where their second round pick could be next year. It could be 35, 36, 37. Can't be dealing that for Brendan.
Let me pose it to you this way.
Okay.
What if Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan get their grimy hands on Brendan Sorsby? How do you think about the pick now?
I feel great about it. And then everybody's going to slobber all over it. It's like the Cardinals with Jeremiyah Love. It's like people love Jeremiyah Love until the Cardinals take him. People are like, that's not going to work out. We'd rather have Price, who went 32nd overall. Shut the hell up. No, I wouldn't feel good about it. No, I mean, but the difference is those teams have the infrastructure, the patience, the clout, the collateral, whatever you want to call it, to make those kind of decisions. Your super chats, B's kicking us off $2 today. Am I crazy saying Beck's ceiling equals the Lions' Jared Goff? I think that's a little rich. I think like his ceiling, people are gonna laugh at me, is like Kirk Cousins. I think like he becomes Kirk Cousins. Like that's a great pick given the value and where he's taken. I just think like after the injury, it's hard for me to project. But Bees, to your point, maybe I'm underselling him because he was once assumed to be the first overall pick entering the 2025 college football season.
Yeah, I think Goff was the number 1 pick in the draft. I think he's got a pretty strong arm as far as processing. He's very strong. I would say, like, could he be Geno Smith? Like good Geno Smith? Like it's got the good and the bad. Like there's a shelf life for that. Like he's not gonna put up consistent, like awesome numbers for 10 straight years, but he's a guy that you get to the point, he's throwing 30 touchdown passes and he's doing what you need from your quarterback to get you the playoffs and potentially make a run.
It's hard because he doesn't have the mobility of like a Dak Prescott, but like that's best case scenario. It's like the passing.
I just think that Dak can rip it a little bit better than Carson Beck.
That's fair. Gus, a very generous $20. This team roster isn't bad. They will win some games. Last year, the Cardinals lost every game due to poor coaching, poor play calling. Milf will change this team down with Ossenfort and, well, as usual, Johnny Chug emoji. If Mike LaFluer can coach, and it's evident, then they will win some games off of scheme and personnel. Aaron Glenn was the worst coach we think in the NFL last year, and he still ended up not with the first overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Glenn with an undrafted quarterback or whomever the hell that was, the talentless Jets still had the second overall pick. I'm with you, Gus. I think people need to be more comfortable with the idea that this team is going to be picking. I'll put my flag in it now. Somewhere between 7 and 12 next year, their first overall pick will be.
Yeah. 12 would be tough.
No, it wouldn't, because that means Mike LaFluer got the most out of this roster. I know people want to cry about it.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm rooting for Mike LaFluer to win as many games as he can. I don't want to sit here and root for losses.
I'm rooting for more likes on this video. Help us get in front of more Cardinals fans. That's right. Start to light up the likes. Let's get it up towards 200, if you would. Let's go, friends out there. But appreciate the super chats. Man, oh, man. Tomorrow, didn't mention this yesterday, going to be talking with Nick Rollis, Nathaniel Hackett, and Goby. They're Michael Bidwill, their special teams coach. So all the coordinators speaking tomorrow at the facility. There's not going to be like practice or anything like that, but we're going to get to catch up with the top coordinators for Mike LaFleur's staff.
Can't wait to see what the hack man says about Carson Beck. I think he's going to light up.
That's right. You're going to be right at the edge of your seat.
I think he's going to light up.
On YouTube, you're going to be watching the presser. You're going to be following along at PHNX_Cardinals for the clips. But I'm more intrigued about hearing from Nick. I just want to hear from Nick, man. Like,
it's going through it now.
I'm pulling for Nick Rollis. Like,
well, yeah.
I know like a bunch of people out there want to cast him off, say he sucks. Nick, at this time last year, Nick Rollis was one of the brighter, rising stars in the league.
He was hot.
Yeah.
He was a commodity. Don't deal away Josh Sweat. That would make Nick Rollis sad Rollis. So I can't wait for that. Hit that like button. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. We got shows all summer leading up to this season. Whatever may go down. For Bo, no, I'm Johnny Venerable. Good to see you all. Hit that like button. We'll see you on, what is tomorrow? Thursday? Yeah, we'll do a Thursday show. Whatever.
We all silly like the mayor.